Look at my Star Trek toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys. And I did not realize we were going to need to have an emergency episode so soon after our last emergency episode, because today we have so much more actual information about the Master Replicas new Star Trek action figures. We looked at them last week that we got from the London Toy Fair, and we saw some of their prototypes and their boxes, and we made a whole bunch of speculations based on absolutely nothing.
No,
but today we have actual hard news. I'm sure a lot of you people watching this have already seen them and have already heard this news, but if you haven't, we are going to regurgitate the news for you secondhand, because that's what you come here for. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay, Keith. Sometimes that second time is even better. You know, CEO Jen, my wife, for those of you who don't watch our other shows, she was out of town for the Super Bowl here in Philadelphia, got home right after the clock struck 0, and so we decided to watch it again together as a family.
Did you force her to watch this?
No, she was into it. She was into it.
All right.
She requested. I got a great copy too. Anyway, that's like this. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you saw things, but Keith and I are going to watch it together with you, like a GD family. Everybody sit down and shut up.
Whoa, coming in hot. It's a Saturday it's a beautiful Saturday. It's
Keith,
snowing
many people
gently.
wrote in to let us know that it's very common that these prototypes are sort of mishmashed together for just this first showing, that customs could have had something to do with the boxes being jostled. Lots of possibilities. We can't just jump to conspiracy theories, okay?
Well, no, but the theory about the boxes being abused in customs makes so much sense.
Yeah, I like it.
So I forgot who said that, because I suck, but thank you for that. I think that's a really good point. So today we have a couple of exciting things. One, we have the pictures that Master Replica has now officially released and announced, and we have a bunch of information from creative director Ben Robinson, the actual guy in charge of this, like straight or secondhand from the horse's mouth, because he did a wonderful interview on Trek Untold. Now, if you're not a subscriber to Trek Untold, it is the link right below us here. And you can also watch this video that we cribbed all this information from. They did a wonderful interview. You throw up their slide here so you can see how to click on. This is what it looks like. Click on that. Watch this interview. You're only going to get warmed over leftovers from us. Really nice. Seems like a really nice dude, Ben Robinson. Master Replicas has a ton of Star Trek toys and ships and stuff coming out in 2025, but we primarily focus on the figures here. So we're going to focus this episode on the new information about their action figures. First off, more thank yous to CRM Customs, Brian Giles, Chris Coleman, and Larry Graham, who sent me a lot of this information as well. A lot of people reached out to me, which I appreciate, because I miss things. And luckily, I get all this information from a lot of really smart and trusted people.
We also got a couple new patrons that I suspect are from this episode. So welcome to the team. I mean, I guess it could have been from Deep Space Nine, but if we do a bunch of other stuff, thanks. You're going to get inundated with Deep Space Nine on our Patreon, so just be ready. I hope you are.
Get a lot of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at what they're actually doing for Master Replicas, and then I'm going to sprinkle in lots of information as we're talking about it. So here are some of the photos that they released officially, as opposed to those second-handed cell phone shots from London Toy Fair. And you can see these figures looks a lot better than they do from a stolen cell phone picture. So here we have Picard from season 3 of Picard. We have Ethan Pike's Ethan
Peck?
Yeah, Ethan Peck's. Oh, see, I if you don't know already, neurodivergent, bad with names, but it's Spock from Strange New Worlds, and
I always
of course,
think, Keith, you just think, I want to give him a peck.
Well, I mean, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah. Or just touch one of those pecks. That's probably offensive.
I don't know. It really it's up to him whether it's a.
You know what? If I asked, he'd accept.
You think?
I don't know what I'm saying.
I love that. I love that confidence.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the confidence there. But of course, we have Ensign Beckett Mariner as well. So first off, first impressions from these first couple of images, these look way better. These look really, really
Though there's
good.
some similarities remain. The crotchal areas, kind of that articulation in that region seems the same, although the booties and the shoes and the sculpting looks a little better down there of the actual legs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the crotch articulation, which is really where that's all the fun part right there.
Cross-articulation?
Cross-articulation, dicticulation, whatever it is. Sorry, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But these look really cool. So, as we go through these, let me give you some information that we got from this interview with Ben Robinson on Trek Untold. So, first off, the license. So what do they have to produce? So first off, they are officially producing action figures. So that's great. So here's what they have in the license. Everything after Star Trek Nemesis. So basically Disco, Strange New World, Lower Decks, Section 31, Prodigy, and Starfleet Academy. All new Trek they have the license for, which is really awesome because Nacelle has all of the classic Trek. So this part, I think, answers a lot of questions about the size, and more important than the size, the intent behind the size. So these are going to be Playmates scale officially. So he calls it 4.5 inches, 4.75, 5 inches. Everybody calls it different things. But these are specifically designed to match Playmates scale. So here's what he said. They're a bit more realistic, I guess, than the Playmates ones, which are a bit stylized, but I wanted it to work so that you could put them alongside your Playmates ones and feel, okay, now I've got that character, which is fantastic news.
That's sort of like your dream.
That is the dream. That's exactly, for us Playmates folks who want to, still, the battle for us Playmates nerds to fill in the holes in their line. Now, obviously, they cannot fill our holes in the classic line. These are just completing the lines for contemporary Trek. And we know that Nacelle is doing 5 or 6 or 7 inch scale, so it's not going to match. So we can argue with them about that. However, at least for these are intentionally, specifically designed to fit on your Playmates shelf, which I'm super excited about. And I think this, there are differences, obviously, and he's right. They are a little bit more realistic in the sculpts because they're not sculpted; they're digitally whatevers. But these figures look really good to me. They look very similar to the 2022-2023 Playmates, maybe with better sculpts. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the render goes, I'm a sucker for a jacket. I think those season 3 jackets are really cool. So, I would go as far as to say is like that's a Picard. That's one of the cooler Picards I've seen. The man doesn't age.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
He does not.
Yeah.
He does not. It is astounding. So everyone's next question is, especially after Playmates broke our heart, are we ever going to get them? Right?
That's a good question.
Are we ever actually going to get them? And the answer is, and then we'll look at all of these in the lineup here because how cool is that? The answer is yes. In fact, the plan is to release them 2 a month.
Oh wow!
Yeah, 2 a month, and releasing them quote fast. So hypothetically, 2 a month. If you're a math major, that's 24 a year. Assuming they sell, and we'll get into that.
Now, the scale looks a little wonky here, but I'm guessing that's because that's just like some renders put together. Like Ethan Peck looks very tall.
Well, I think he is tall. I mean, Patrick Stewart is pretty short.
The Riker looks kind of funky.
Right. Well, I mean, it's because I know that Frakes is pretty tall.
He looks like it's almost as if that we've made a Timothy Oliphant.
He does look like Timothy Oliphant. Yeah. He totally does. I think the Worf looks.
Shouldn't be critiquing them at this point. These are just
these are all just sort of specs, and the lower decks are a little bit small there.
They look cool though.
Oh, I think they look terrific. So, yeah, so we have a Tendi there. I think I think the Spock looks really good. I think that it looks like Ethan Peck, not Ethan Pike for those counting at home. But yeah, I mean, that line looks great. And if we're getting them 2 a month, we'll actually be able to fill these things out. Now, everyone's next question, what are they going to cost? Well, more than Playmates. So these look like they're going to retail about $25 a piece. Online only. So the price is high. The price is high. And that's sort of what you get, right? If you want them this way, because we're going to talk more about how they're going to do them. But actually, I'll say about this. Ben says, I mean, the thing that people have to understand is the business model. So if you're going to be making action figures that are selling in Walmart or Target, and that's the big part of your business, you have to do really big numbers. You have to be, if you're selling to kids, you have to be as cheap as you possibly can be, and all those things make Star Trek very challenging for the conventional action figure company. So what you're seeing now is these kind of specialist companies like us, and the sale coming in, trying to do something that is more aimed at fans. So if we want our specific figures in our specific sizes, they're going to have to be in these smaller batches, which are by definition more expensive. So 2 a month, $25. So, move on to one of the other ones. That's all Pixel Bus. We can't be staring at Pixel Bus.
It's bothered me too.
Yeah. Don't land on that. So, so what characters are we getting from New Trek? Well, according to Ben, he said, I made a list of characters we ought to do, and it's like, oh my God, 70, 80, 90 characters that potentially they could be releasing from New Trek. Also, and this will be fun, considering some specials, what I'm assuming are limited edition figures or have special things, and play sets. They're even talking about doing play sets, which is really interesting as well. So as we said before, Nacelle has everything up until Nemesis, so unfortunately we can't get our Vortas and that sort of such. At least from Master Replicas. But we'll see. Some other good fix, Mike. So other tidbits here. From our disappointment with Prodigy, because Playmates started Prodigy but then didn't finish it. We didn't get Rocket and we didn't get Janeway. He wants to fill in Rock and Janeway first, filling in the Playmates line, because I think he wanted that as well. So all really exciting and interesting information.
I mean, I have myself my Prodigy collection. I really like those figures. I would love to have the Janeway.
Yeah, well, I think, and because they're styled to look like Playmates, I think they're going to fill in well, right in there. So you don't necessarily have a hole with these other figures that you have. So I want to just continue. He had some other interesting things to say about the business, and about going smaller scale, which is what a higher price but a higher quality. He said it's very similar to what's happened in the comic book industry. Comic books used to be 12 cents on the spinner rack, and now they're not. But they're printed on beautiful paper, and they have long, complicated stories you can follow over the course of your entire life. What we're doing is saying these are really for serious adult fans. We don't have to worry about appealing to 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds. We don't have to compete with the WWE action figures that sell so much. So that's the goal. But it does depend on everybody coming to us and buying them. If they don't do that, we won't be able to make enough. But we can make it work with a significantly smaller scale than a Hasbro or Mattel would need. So I think that's... If you go back and you watch our funeral for Playmates and all of our suggestions, this is exactly what we said Playmates should have done. And that is go retail, charge a little bit more, but be more specific with your audience. Don't try to sell them to 10-year-olds. They're not going to buy them. Sell them to us, the collectors, and build it to what we collectors want. And this feels very much in that line. I mean, this lineup of figures here, I would be really excited to get on my shelf.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, I hope that we get the full sort of wave that we saw in the back of the boxes. But if we're going to go 2 a month for an indefinite amount of time, that could very well happen.
That's going to, and like you said, it all depends on whether we buy them. So, and understanding they're not going to be $15 like the Playmates ones. They're not going to be $12.99. They're going to be $25. And so we're just going to have to suck it up if we want these toys, which we do. We're here watching this video because you want those toys. So lastly, just a little bit more information about some of the fun collector-y kind of stuff. So they asked, we know that they're in Playmate scales, but what else will be the same and different versus Playmates? Talking about articulation, accessories, packaging, etc. And so Ben said, it's absolutely meant to be collector-friendly packaging, and we're even talking to about some kinds of additional collector editions. We haven't confirmed this yet, but the goal is to do some figures that come with swatches of fabric, like trading cards. I'm a sports card collector, so I have plenty of the limited edition cards that have a little patch from the jersey, from a game-worn jersey or whatever. So he continues, so you'd get your Spock with a little piece of blue Strategy World uniform in there that's actually used on set, or at least came from the costume department. I won't be able to trace it because it's only going to be a little swatch, which I think is really exciting, really interesting. Mm-hmm. You're not taking it out of the package then.
Right, yeah.
But again, it seems like this is all leading us really firmly in the direction of collectors. It's for us. It's the people tracking down the limited edition, this, that, the other thing. And if they're going to have super limited edition stuff, a patch from a uniform is a 1-on-1 or one out of a handle. So they risk getting into late Playmates where, everybody wants everything. And if you can't get it, you are risking a little bit of frustration from the fans.
As long as it's in addition to, right?
Right. Yes. But there will be some exclusives. I mean, if you want the weird alt uniform, you might have to do some work for it.
Which I think is part of the fun. So I'm not going to scoff that idea. I think it's pretty cool. Like you said, it's pretty interesting for the collectors. Additionally, the other thing is, yes, they want people to buy them, right? But that means they have to be available. Because one of the issues we ran into with 2022 Playmates is a few of the figures that they assumed would sell well, you could find. Of course, it's apples and oranges because I'm talking about retail mostly. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the figures, like the disco figures, you could find them. They were always there because nobody bought them. But some of the con figures you couldn't find. Some of the main figures you couldn't find.
Yep.
And I drove all over the place. So hopefully it'll be mass retail. Did they say where?
It's online only.
So Amazon. So stores, big bad
probably
toys?
I would imagine did not say specifically, certainly directly from them, mm-hmm. and probably from some of the secondary onlines. So to answer some questions about articulation, I know that's going to be a question, and he says it's going to be very similar to the Playmates ones. Obviously the contemporary Playmates articulations, but you can see there on the screen. He says they're going to be much more realistic, I guess, in their portrayal, and certainly the likenesses are really good from the ones I've seen so far. In terms of the accessories, it is interesting. He says, I had a debate with someone about this and saying, for me, what matters is that the accessory is logical rather than necessarily purely unique to the character. So I think he's thinking more phasers and fewer trombones. So
Keith, can I intercept real quick?
Sure.
Thus far, on the Master Replica site, the Picard and the Spock are both available for pre-sale.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, and it looks like the other two things, which are just kind of question marks, coming soon, March 2025. So, okay, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm going to pre-order these.
Yo, definitely. So, so he says 2 or 3 accessories for characters and hexagonal bases. which is something he learned from the Doctor Who line. You want hexagonal bases so you can shove all the characters up close to another, which makes some sense. Because all the figures behind me are always bumping into each other and hard to get them lined up. And they also talk a little bit about variants. He says, the goal is at the moment we'll do variants, but for the moment you just want to look at the list of characters and you're like, wow, there's so many characters to get through. Obviously, there will be important uniform variants like the wraparound pike and all that kind of stuff eventually. I think general impressions about what we know, and again, this was from Brendan Robinson's podcast interview on Trek Untold, which you can watch here on YouTube. You can also get it in your podcast feeds. And I've been working off a transcript from that podcast. So, general impressions here, they are specifically targeting us, the frustrated Playmates 2022-2023 fans who were really bummed that Playmates gave up as quickly as they did. That's a big plus. They're going to fans. They're trying to fill holes in that line. I think that's a plus. The price is not a plus, but I think is the price ever a plus? If it's more than free, it's always going to be a downside.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk literal there, because I just said it. We're doing a show about it, so I mean, it's a tax write-off. But I still put those 2 figures in the cart because that's all of it that's available for pre-sale right now, with shipping and tax, $61. Let me tell you, Keith, I balked. Yeah. I balked.
It's a lot
because that's for 2 figures, and.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And there's no getting around it. And like that's easy for some people. That's not so easy for a lot of us. And I say us, me inclusive.
But it does finish your thoughts and then I'll bring out.
Oh, yeah. So those are the main upsides. I think that the downside is it's they don't have the license for classic Trek. Because I'm excited to get the Picard season 3. I'm excited to get the Strange New World stuff. Lower Decks, sure, Disco, whatever, and some of these others, like, fine. I'll be happy to have them, to collect them. Do I really, in my heart of hearts, want to fill in the Deep Space Nine and the Voyager figures more than I want contemporary? Yeah, but I'm old. But again, they're going to us old people who are, who have the original Playmates line. It's not their choice, right? The IP has been carved up among different toy companies. I'm sure if they had their druthers, they would be delighted to have the classic
I would imagine
line.
If they sell well and that money gets its way back to Paramount, things can change.
Well, and it depends on how Nacelle does.
Well, that's the point of comparison that I find a little bit interesting, right? So, yes, $60 is a lot of money, but I want to buy them, right? But
yeah, sure.
I kind of have this Exo Pike Peck up here. I have
I've ruined it.
I have a bunch of Picards, so I have them, and so that adds to my hesitation, right? Because I'm not sort of a completionist just yet, because I don't have, my brain hasn't gone there yet.
You'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there.
But the Nacelle, those are sort of cherry-picked randoms for people like you who love the sort of deep cuts. So it'd be interesting to see in this first wave where we've got just like Playmates tried to do. Okay, here's our Picard, here's our Riker, here's our tried and trues, versus Nacelle, who's like, I'm going geeky deep cut. It'd be interesting to see how those play out.
Well, and from Master Replica's standpoint, they're not duplicating figures we already have. Mm-hmm. We don't have any of these.
Right.
Yes, we have Picard figures, we have Riker figures and Worf figures, but we don't have any of them from the Picard series. So they're characters, but we've never, it's not like we have 1,000 Picard in, regular next gen duty uniform that we have 1,000 of. We don't have any of these. So, very, very interesting.
What do you do, man? Do you start a new shelf? When it's a first wave of something new, do you start a new shelf, or do they stay in a box until until you have the complete set, and then you put them up, or how's it work?
It's really tough. Give me a one shot here.
All right, here we go.
because my biggest problem is my shelves are full.
And let me tell you, them big shelves. You can't.
They're
The scale
big
doesn't work
shelves.
here, but they're huge. We bought one for the new house. I can't fill it. Like I don't have enough books for one of those.
It's great. I mean, these are the Playmates full scale ships, right? So that Deep Space Nine and so the D and that kind of stuff. And so what I've done here is each of these shelves here are individual to lines. So this is my Deep Space Nine shelf, and so I have the Deep Space Nine, and then these are original series, mostly the movie uniforms, and then I have my next gen shelf here, and then I have like a whole, all of the Playmates figures in these. I don't have any new shelves to put out at this point. So I was that's the problem. That's the problem. I need some more shelves, but I don't. I need more basement. That's what I need. I need another wing to the basement in order to do that. So, folks, what do you think? How do you feel about all this? I have to admit, my excitement level went from here to here with all of this new information for sure. And
new stuff. You know what I mean? That's just, especially when you're, people you want stuff to take your mind off the stuff, right?
The apocalypse.
Yeah, and also you've worked yourself into a place in life where you have like a little bit of disposable income.
Speak for yourself, sir.
Come on, you do. And you want to buy toys with it. That's what you want. It's like essentials, toys. But you gotta give me the right toys. So I'm excited also.
I am much more likely to plop down $25 to fill a hole in my Playmate shelf than to work on a different line.
Did I just pre-order a toy from a show I'm forbidden to watch? Yes.
Yeah, you sure did. You sure did. So
cool jacket.
Yeah, there it is. It's all about the jackets. So folks, write in. Tell us what you think. Tell us, are you in? Are you out? What would you like to see different? For sure. We'd also, we'd like to thank our patrons who really do help give us a shot at spending $25 on these figures for sure. So you can go to patreon.com/K&M and see a whole bunch more of our nonsense.
But Keith, you can support the channel if you're new to us in other ways. You can give us a like, you can subscribe below, you can tell a friend, or if you happen to know any of these creators of these toys or have any sort of leads as to people we could talk to at Playmates, at Nacelle, at Master Replicas, we would love to do so on our channel.
Hey, Ben, we'd love to have you on the show, and you can send us some samples, and we'll review them.
You know what? You could just have them on your camera and show them to us. We'll take them. Don't get me wrong. We'll take them.
Oh, we want them.
Yeah, and also want them. But, anyway. We also do customs on the channel. If you've got anything you've made or you want to show, let's send those over. Look at my Star Trek Toys at gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram at Star Trek Toys. I think that's all I got, Keith.
Yeah, and watch our Deep Space Nine show.
Oh, yeah, it's getting
Keith
good.
and Mike watch Deep Space Nine. Getting good. We're deep into season 6. Lots of good stuff. All right, so there it is. Unless we have another emergency episode about the Master Replicas or any other breaking Star Trek toy news.
Yeah, or when the pre-orders come in, we'll make sure to put them up on the channel as well as they come.
You're darn right we will.
Content.
So we will do that. We'll see you back next week. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, this has been
Look at my Star Trek toys!